Now, there are calls for classrooms to go back to basics after new research found 1 in 5 high school students struggle with Year 4 maths and English. Joining me now is Colleen Harkin, an education expert with the Institute of Public Affairs. Colleen, thanks for your time. 1 in 5 is a pretty poor outcome. We have invested so much in education. Why isn't that being reflected in the results?
$124 billion has been invested in the last 12 months, Rita. It's a lot of money that is invested. The answer is that the curriculum is polluted. There are the cross-curriculum priorities of Aboriginal or Indigenous issues, sustainability and social justice are prioritised above everything else. And so the students aren't getting a clear shot at the skill set that they need to be learning. We've moved from being a knowledge and fact-based system to one that's ideologically driven, and the end result of that is the results that we're seeing. Almost a quarter of Year 9 students are only at minimum or below minimum standard in reading. And the OECD PISA results, which is the Program for International Student Assessment, shows us that an average 15-year-old now is more than a year behind where an average 15-year-old was 20 years ago. So the curriculum and the lack of integrity in the curriculum is a significant issue.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a son at high school and the curriculum is so polluted, so full of indoctrination, the obsession with race, gender, climate change, and you wonder how that can actually fit in any core subjects when they're so preoccupied with the politics.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day that the students are at school, and there's only so many hours that are devoted to each particular subject area. So if what the students are learning is already lacking in its integrity because of the politically charged nature of the material that they're being promoted and indoctrinated with, it's no wonder that the standards are falling.
Now, the research from the Australian Educational Research Organisation also shows too many high school teachers lack the training and skills to help students adequately. Would you agree with that assessment?
Rita, the university teacher training curriculum is as ideologically and politically charged and polluted as the school curriculum is. So instead of teacher training students, so we're talking about students who have finished school and they've entered into university to become a school teacher, instead of learning practical skills like classroom management or learning of the science of reading and how does a person actually learn to read and what you need to be doing as a teacher, the reading material and the units that the students are compelled to do are things like decolonising the curriculum, for example. Now, you know, that's across the board. The content that they're being taught as university students does absolutely nothing to help them to become a great teacher. But I want to shout out to the teachers because they're doing a great job under very difficult circumstances. They are overrun with administration and regulatory compliance. I don't know who it's all for, and I don't know, it serves no purpose, and it completely takes them away from their role of actually teaching.
And I think parents also would appreciate some clearer communication when it comes to reports. Some of the language used in the school reports can also be quite misleading. Your child could be possibly struggling, but the way it's worded in a school report seems almost designed to hide that fact.
That's correct, and even at the NAPLAN assessment scenario where we used to have 10 bands, it was very clear where your child was on that ladder of 10 scales. They've changed the language now to just 4, and so a developing child can mean, you know, your guess is as good as mine. How well is my child doing if they're developing? So the language that's used is not very clear and it's not very helpful.
No, not at all. Colleen Harkin, thank you so much for your time this evening.